Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture with the rogues who create it every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/Rogue Matter, facebook.com/We Are Rogue Matter, twitch.tv/We Are Rogue Matter, and twitter.com/Rogue_Matter. Once we finish streaming this bad boy out, it gets compartmentalized into the dopest podcast that is out on the interwebs today. You can get us at Apple, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, you name it. We are out there. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my cohort in crime, the Lord of the Radio himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Got it all in under a minute that time. That's
I am sort of impressive.
That was some solid. Actually, probably 30 seconds because I think our intro is like 30 seconds. So one of these days we're gonna have to edit that too because it's just some house cleaning. You know how it goes.
Yes, I know. I'm gonna refrain from reacting to that because I might have suggested that a couple of thousand times.
I don't think 1,000 times.
Yeah, maybe a couple.
I think
no, not 1,000.
I think you're clearly exaggerating.
A couple of thousand. All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
We've got a great show tonight. We've got badass babe herself, Brenda Fisher, is going to talk about the awesome podcast that we have on the Rogue Matter Podcast Network, which is Badass Babes of Entertainment. So she will join us, talk to us about her awesome show. We are also going to talk a little bit of Prey. Are you Predator or Prey? The new movie on Hulu, which broke Hulu's record for a debut, which is pretty promising. We'll probably throw a little Sandman chat, a little Ozark chat in that as well too. I'm just going to basically give you an insight into my viewing this week, which has been exciting. But first, as we do every show, we give you the inside scoop on what is happening at Rogue Matter. Again, everything on roguematter.com or the app is free to consume, free to read. We've got comics, ebooks, podcasts, videos. This week dropping Seila Fire #4, written and created by James Mascia. A U.S. agent, a Russian spy, a small-town cop, and an intrepid reporter are trying to help a refugee and stop the unintentional slaughter of innocents as the U.S. and Russian governments are hunting them and trying to contain what they know at all costs. Meanwhile, the small town of Southport, North Carolina, is caught in the deadly crossfire. It's a amazing science fiction book. Covers by my co-host here himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin, written by James Mascia. It's on roguematter.com right now. And if you wanted to get the inside scoop about said chapter, you can actually download Seila Fire Emergence podcast. It's a talkback podcast featuring Bevan as the co-host. She sits down with James and he dissects each issue and each chapter. That is available now as well, wherever podcasts can be found, and also on YouTube and the aforementioned stations I did. Now,
it's never good for having an unintentional slaughter of innocents. You always want an intentional slaughter of innocents.
Really? I like it. If you're going to do something, go full throttle with it, right?
That's right. You want to be an actionary, not a reactionary.
I agree. I agree with that as well. So at its core, Seila Fire is kind of a cool science fiction mystery with a backdrop of UFOs. Now, what is your favorite? I'm a UFO buff. I watch them all. I watch like Ancient Aliens. I watch like UFO Mystery, UFO Hunters. Like, I mean,
you're the guy.
Like, if it's got UFOs in it, I want to watch. Like, it's. I don't know. I watch it very intently, and I just kind of like fall asleep to it. But I don't watch it very intently anymore. I kind of just fall asleep to it. But like, I'm a UFO buff. Like, I know all like the greatest like UFO stories and all the greatest things to do. So I would sit there and say I could name you like some of my favorite UFO stories. But are you a UFO guy? Do you know any of the
Not
stories?
Really.
No. You have your favorites like in movies then, right?
I'm a big fan of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
It's an excellent selection.
I come to. Yeah. It's one of my favorite movies. I just broke my back a couple of years ago to see that in the theater again when it I had to find it in the city, in New York City, when it aired, and its anniversary or something was happening, and I went to go see it. I went running to go see it. So it was.
You probably could have just walked. No,
I couldn't have because they changed the location at the last minute, and I had to run like a couple of blocks in order to find it. But I had never seen it in the theater because the movie's kind of old, so it's back there in the Wayback Machine,
Okay.
and I had never seen it in the theater, so I ran to go see it, and it was absolutely wonderful. But that is the deepest into the UFO rabbit hole that I've ever gone. So
No, I
you're
am.
telling
Yeah.
me you've gone way deeper than
No,
that.
I am so full throttle with these things. Like I know, you know, the Rendlesham Forest story. That's like in 1980. Now, quite frankly, I'm tired of that story. It was on.
Oh.
I first experienced that story on Unsolved Mysteries. I thought it was really cool. It was an army base in England, Rendlesham Forest, where the people the army people, actually recorded themselves like in a tape recorder when they were investigating like a landing of some sort of craft, and they have all this evidence, and they've played it like numerous times. It's very crazy. It's still like one of the most compelling things, because they're like, what the hell is this thing? We're staring right at it. It's glowing. It blah blah blah. It's got all these markings. Like they're
Before they got
and these were
word
like,
from Army intelligence that they should shut the f up about all this. Like,
well, no, and then they
stop
got
recording
interrogated. Yes,
and-
see, that's the thing. Then they got interrogated, and a lot of their evidence ended up got taken away. But what's kind of neat, what happened recently, is one of the guys touched the craft with their hand, and then like lost time, right? But then that night, it's happened in 1980, by the way. Started writing ones and zeros in a notebook, and back in 1980 had no idea what it was. And then in like the 2000s, because all these guys go on the circuit, this is how they make money now.
Yeah,
of
course.
He brought on, he's like, yeah, here's some artifacts from that time. And one person's like, why do you have binary code written there? And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what that is. I wrote this like that night. Just I was compelled to write this. And they had people actually decipher it. Now, again, I don't know how accurate it is, but they had people decipher it, and it said like observation of Earth, for planetary survival, continue. Like
It was in English. Their alien language.
No. It
Their
was
alien-
binary code.
Yes, but binary translated into decipherable dialect comes out
Apparently.
in English. So the aliens were using English binary code.
It's very possible.
Yes. Okay. Wow. That's immense.
I don't know how to decipher binary code, so I don't know.
It just seems to me strange that an alien code in binary would translate into something in English.
Well, think about it. If the guy who was English touched the ship and a message was communicated to him, it would have to be in his language for him to understand.
That is in depth, heavy.
We just broke that.
Cannon.
Wow.
Headcanon, man. That is impressive mental gymnastics.
I think that was pretty good right there. I'm not even mad. I'm kind of impressed.
That is fantastic. Well, okay. Before we run out of time, give me another story.
So,
because that's you're tired of that story.
Because you know what, they've every UFO special always goes back to it as like one of like the because it's a very credible story in terms of just evidence and who is actually
like the Bigfoot footage. Whenever you watch a Bigfoot sighting, they go to the
the Zapruder footage of the Bigfoot walking right. There recently this is one of my favorites, not because of the actual story. And again, I saw this first on Unsolved Mysteries, and I have to like, in our day and age of internet information, where, I mean, things can be literally, our Wikipedia gets changed, constantly, right? Like there's people that are, constantly editing information for whatever reasons, positive, negative, whatever the case is. Right. I always like anything that happened pre-internet, and I put a little like mental more stake in it. So anything that debuted on Unsolved Mysteries in the 80s, I feel like comes from a genuine place of credibility in my mind. This is just me, right? Like anything, like comic books in the 80s and 90s, like I love them better because I feel like, again, we didn't know what the creators were thinking because they didn't post it on social media constantly. So it's like, exactly, like all you have is what's in front of you to digest. And there was this story in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, where a thing crashed. It was like 1965, again, pre-internet, pre-video and all this, which I like. And the townspeople were all like, yeah, we went in the woods and there was like a bell-shaped object like sitting there. It had strange markings on it. The army came in and basically just, closed off the area, shipped it out. But all the townspeople were basically like, yeah, we saw this bell-shaped thing covered in a drape. And what I like about this story, though, is that this is how our narrative minds seem to work now.
Okay.
There's a separate story in World War II. They always talk about like the Nazi UFOs, like what the Nazis were actually trying to build and stuff. And they have, I guess, footage, which I don't know how real it is, because I'd never seen it before. But all of a sudden, there it is. Like, we found actual footage of this thing. They were developing a bell-shaped craft, and they were going to, to like as a weapon or something. And so the theory is that it actually worked and it shot itself into the future. That the Nazis broke the time-space continuum and were able to actually send something into the future.
Man. Okay. All right.
I
Okay.
would love.
What do you think? What do you think, though?
I would love to go back in time to 1965 Kecksburg and just be standing, not underneath, because I want to live, but right near the forest, so that as soon as it hits, I can just go in, start taking pictures, and get out of there, just so I could see it. And if there's German writing on it, oh, that's money right
you
there,
practice.
right?
But then when you come back and tell everybody, like, I went back in time and I saw the thing and I know exactly, I solved the mystery, you're just going to be another facet of the mystery. Was he telling the truth?
Yes.
Or was he just another schmo who thinks that he's broken the
Have you ever seen that photo? It's like, is time travel possible? Like, if you type that in, is time travel possible photo, there's a kid with like a t-shirt on that it's like it's a specific, like it's how they make t-shirts nowadays with like, how they get the actual graphic on it. I forget the exact term. But it's like a photo from like a bridge that's collapsing or debut. I forget what it is. It's either a horrible catastrophe or just a debut, like an opening of a new bridge. I forget which one it is. Again, I could Google it, but why bother? And everyone's like, this guy is a time traveler because they couldn't make t-shirts like that back in the 40s, and he looks different than everyone else. Like, everyone else is in like typical like 30s or 40s whenever the photo took place, and he's dressed like he's like from Brooklyn, and
he's wearing khakis. And
he's wearing like a leather jacket. He's wearing like sunglasses. He's wearing like a t-shirt with a graphic on it, and it's like supposedly like the 1930s or 1940s.
It says Wu-Tang on it, right?
Right.
He's got rollerblades. He's like he looks like the 90s, right? He's decked out completely like the 90s.
Oh, if you just type in time traveler photo, 1940 comes up, or photo bridge, time traveler bridge. The hipster. Yeah. So the image is dated November 1941, shows a crowd at the reopening at the South Fork Bridge. So it was not a catastrophe. It was actually a celebration. Good for them. And
okay.
Yeah, man, oh man, I'm gonna have to share my screen here. Look at this. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Aaron. I'm breaking the third wall here so that everyone can see. Oh, there's no way I'm getting this right.
I see him. He's wearing glasses.
Yeah.
I could do this in Photoshop.
I could do
that in Photoshop.
What's good about it, though, what's striking about this is it was in a museum. Like, it was in a museum for a long time.
Okay. That's interesting.
Right.
That's interesting. But, I mean...
It could be a deep fake. Don't get me wrong.
That guy could be from the 40s, though.
Sure. But it was something about the way he's wearing, it looks like a printed t-shirt. Yeah, it says, although tampering with photos in 1941 was possible, it was extremely difficult, and given the original context of the photo, this idea was ruled out. It turns out the guy might have just been a quirky guy at the Gold Bridge opening.
Yeah. Or he's the dumbest time traveler of them all because he got his picture taken in 1940, whatever, when the technology was so, was virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
Right. So like they had to set that photo up. It's not like someone just snapped a shot.
Right.
In 19. So. All right.
No, I think you could snap a no. You definitely had it wasn't like 1800s photography.
Yeah, but I mean, usually in the 40s, like there were photographers. That's a photograph. That's not like a snapshot. That's not like someone was just like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to take a shot of the crowd and not look at the disaster.
Yeah.
that that they're staring at.
Yeah. Now Snopes says this is false, but we don't like you, Snopes, because I don't like Snopes because now it just ruined my fun.
I'm not going to say anything. I don't quite buy it.
No, I mean I'm just saying I just don't like.
But I would have
telling
gone
it's not
all
really
out. I would have gone all out. He would have had
I want to believe, right? Like the big Mulder poster that he had up. I want to
He would
believe.
have had an Adidas baseball cap on if it was me doing it. I would have went all out. I would have made it impossible to think that the guy was from any other era but our own.
Yeah, here's the best part about that photo in relation to our UFO stories as well, too, though. It actually all relates to Seila Fire, Emergence. So go check it out.
Not quite as well done, but
okay. Not bad. I'm back
That's
2 for 2, I think, today.
It's okay. It's okay.
I think I'm doing pretty good.
Of course you do. Of course you would give yourself high marks. Why
well,
wouldn't
but it
you?
all relates. Even the time traveling dude from Canada. It wasn't Kansas, by the way. I'm 0 for like whatever on that one.
These are your stories, man. This is your stuff.
When we come back, go check out roguematter.com and get Seila Fire Emergence. Go check out the Talkback podcast. But when we come back, are you predator or prey? And Sandman, an aptly titled Netflix show. When we come back. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wav podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wav podcast.